Welcome to the Whitetail Legacy Podcast.
Tomorrow is opening day.
This morning, didn't have a great hunt. Deer didn't move like usual.
We just got set up in the middle of this bedding thicket. We've been saving this spot from the rut. It's a nice, I think it's a nice buck.
Boom! Hits a 170.
That was money. I think he's down right over there, maybe 10 yards.
Whitetail Legacy Podcast, bringing you back to the hunt and leaving a legacy.
Baller rut.
Welcome to the Whitetail Legacy Podcast, coming at you. I'm going to catch you up on the rest of the rutcation and shotgun season, first shotgun season, and what our plan is for the rest of the season here. We love catching you guys up. We know people want to hear the stories, especially when we get a buck down. So we're going to get you guys caught up real quick and get back into the content that's not us and people that actually know how to kill deer. Let's get into people that make this possible. We're going to start out with the VIP veteran broadhead. Combat veteran guys, we've been talking about it. Homie got to send one. I'm itching hard. Hitting the urban public. Does are going to die is all I'm going to say.
I know you're going to get a bunch of opportunities to send it. And really, what are your expectations? Just pretty much what you've seen with me?
Yeah, that's what I want. Just clean pass through. Done. Blood trail is insane.
Carnage.
50 yards, dead deer. Fall in sight. That's what I'm expecting. So I'm going tomorrow. Hopefully try it out and see what happens. So maybe I'll shoot another buck. Wife was like, taxidermist bill is going to be high if you kill 3 bucks every year. I'm like, well, I said we're going to have to add on the house too because it's getting out of hand. But whatever it takes, right? Whatever it takes. You got a VIP veteran broadhead shout out.
Yeah, this week's VIP veteran broadhead shout out is Jonathan Shirley. He was in the Navy for 8 years and unfortunately did not get any more information than that, but just want to thank him for doing them 8 years and allowing us to sit in this podcast and have a good time doing it. Want to thank you from Whitetail Legacy and the VIP family.
Yeah, thanks, Jonathan. Appreciate your service. 8 years, pretty long time out there, so we appreciate it. And let's get into Scentlock. Still out there, I'm still out there rocking the tactic suit, man. It's warming up. I think the high was like 40 today.
You just live and die by the tactic suit.
That's all I got. You know what I mean? I got 2 tactic suits, so I layer up and wear it, and that thing is pretty solid.
I would say, but being serious, like 2 of them, like that's you're solid,
real solid. So I like to layer up, and then I wear double tactic suits and get out there and send it. I like how it's not real heavy, so you still being able to be able to move with 2 suits on. A lot of brands are like, to get that warmth, they get that like puffiness to them.
The bulk.
You're not gonna be able to wear 2 of them.
No.
So,
no.
Let's get into ECW calls. All your custom call needs. Still rocking the grunt tubes out there. I don't know if I've ever grunted in. I was thinking about this. I don't know if I've ever grunted in a buck late season. I don't know if I've ever tried it before.
No.
So if any of the listeners have tried grunting a buck in late season, message us and let us know if it worked.
I'm going to say just my general encounters with a buck in late season. After like December 10th, dude, I don't have hardly anything.
Yeah.
And trust me, where I've hunted, I've got an ass load of food.
Mm-hmm.
I've got some decent bedding close to it, and just I've not got them on that pattern. So
yeah, I'm hoping this year I can get something figured out and see what happens, go from there. But I might try it. I might just, if I see like a 2-year-old, I might try a grunt and just see what happens. I've never grunted one. I don't, you'd think that they wanted to avoid bucks this time and kind of get back on the food.
I want to get my ass kicked again. I'm just trying to get out here and get some corn.
Yeah. All right, let's get into Ingram's outdoor obsession. First shotgun season, he said, was a little slow. We experienced it too. We're going to talk about that in this episode. I think he had 8 bucks come in, and then he had another 8 after that during the week. So he normally has At 16, he normally has 25-30 on average, so it's definitely a low year. But everybody we talked to, no one's seen anything
no
moving.
one's seen nothing.
Brutal first shotgun season. So, all right, let's get into the show and get this content out for him. So, it is
Today's the 29th.
the 29th, so we're recording this a little earlier.
Little early.
And getting it out to you guys. We wanted to break it up so it wasn't you listening to us every week. But today's 29th. We have another buck down for the team, and that is literally the only buck that we've seen during shotgun season.
Yeah. Yep.
So when we left off, it was
On the way home from Missouri. On the 16th.
So you hunted that whole week. I went right back to work right after Missouri.
Yeah, so we got home the 16th, dropped me off at 1:30 in the morning. So obviously I wasn't going to hunt the 17th in the morning. I've been hunting hard all week. Decided to just take the whole day off, spend it with the kids. You did the same. You didn't go out. 18th, you went back to work, and I went on a whole nother week by myself. Little adventure, I guess. 18th, I went to the scrape tree. So, interesting fact, we put a blog out about this. How close we were to getting it done, or how close Cody and I had been to a deer that we know of off trail cam pole. Cody sends me pictures from the mobile cam. The 17th, Chaos comes from the north, goes right in front of the mobile cam, goes south into a bedding area at 6:34. At 6:48, he comes out of that bedding area and is going west, which we know locks into the big timber. Do you think he went south, even though he went west on cam, though, right?
Yeah, I think so.
I don't know what the hell he's doing there.
I don't know.
But
Yeah. He could have went west and stayed west, and then went north and then come back south.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Maybe because then at 2:30 we had him on the north mobile. But either way, like, he's going west at 6:48. So I mean, he was literally dinking around there. He didn't get too far away from the first time. And then at 2:34 in the morning, he's on the north mobile up by the food plot, the wagon blind, in the corner of the property. So I know he's in the area. Like, I mean, he is literally right there. And when he's on the north mobile, he's coming south into the property. So I'm at the property at 5:30. So we got a 3-hour gap there. And Cody had sent me all these when he woke up. So I'm like, oh yeah, okay. So he's up north somewhere, middle of the property. I'm like, maybe he'll come cruising back here like he did last night. I'll get like a last 5-10 minute light opportunity at him. So I'd already planned on doing an all-day sit. Bud Heavy had just daylighted there on Saturday at 4:48. So now I know that both bucks have been in at least that area within the last 48 hours. I sat there all day. I had a button buck midday, and I believe that was the only deer I've seen.
Seen some does early, right? Or was that the next day?
No, I didn't see any does there.
No?
No. The 19th, I went back there. We had 18th Monday was a straight west wind all day, just straight west. 19th was a west going to northwest, so I went back to the scrape tree, just hoping hours on stand was going to prevail, at least an opportunity. Nothing on the mobile cams overnight, and I seen another button buck midday, and that was the only deer I'd moved Tuesday afternoon to the bedding area. I'd seen a button buck earlier than midday. It was like 10:30. And then Cody and I talked about me moved back to the bedding area, took everything down, put everything back up, didn't see anything back in the bedding area. I want to go back to the 18th real quick. We had Chaos on cam after I pulled that cam later in the week. We had Chaos on cam on the 18th going north off the property at 6:34. So all day that I had sat on the 18th.
So he's on the south of the property at
the 17th at 6:30.
Yeah.
He's on the north of the property at 2:30 in the morning, and then he's leaving the north end at 6:30.
So he's on the property all day.
He's on the property
18th.
all day, literally probably 150 yards from me, bedded in the creek, with no doe.
That we know of.
That we know of, yeah.
Yeah, that didn't go straight north.
Didn't have any does on cam like before, and if they're on that cam that he was on, then we would have got him. So he just hanging out. The 20th, I went down to my private piece. I had a doe come in early. I was gonna shoot her, but by the time I could have shot her, wasn't able to get it on film. She kind of knew I was there. I was self-filming, and then I had 2 yearlings come in. I wasn't gonna shoot them. They come in about a little after 8, and then it was dead until about 10 o'clock. And then I was actually starting a time lapse. It was pretty sunny that day, and I was just going to get a time lapse of like the sun moving on the trees in the woods. And I said, I knew as soon as I start this time lapse, I'm going to see a deer. And the time lapse didn't even last a second once I stop it. And this buck had come in and run 5 does out of this bedding area. And any of the deer that I had seen before this weren't even in that bedding area. So there was potentially 8 does in that area. And they had all ran behind me on the opposite ridge, ran right downwind. I said, there's a buck behind them, 5 does running. No tails up, all tails down. So I'm like, okay, there's a buck coming. And I finally see him about 2.5 minutes later. It looks to be a really solid 10-pointer. And I get the camera on him. I'm running my small lens because all my shots are going to be at 28 yards most. So at 28 yards with the small lens, I can crop in a little bit. It'll look really good. All the rest of my shooting lanes are 18 to 23 yards. And so that's why I have the small lens on, self-filming. So I'm trying to get that extra wide angle. As long as I get him on the camera, we should be able to make it work. So I get a little bit of him. I'm trying to grunt at him. He's not really having any of that. Stop recording him, get the digital zoom on, and then I'm like super lost on the camera where he's at. And then I get just like a little 5-8 second glimpse of him leaving the camera, and then I don't know where he went, what he did, and he's gone. And then the rest of the day, I seen a small 6-pointer come in with about 20 minutes of light left. Thursday, I went back to that stand. I seen 1 doe in the morning. I tried to shoot her. Was trying to get it on film. Didn't work out. So didn't shoot her. That was super early. It worked just like that doe the previous morning. About the same time too. And then I sat until 11, didn't see anything the rest of the day. And by that point, I was needing a break because I knew the weekend I was going to hit it hard with shotgun coming. So Thursday I come home, got some footage sorted, did a little bit of editing. And then the 22nd, Friday, opening shotgun, went to the pinch stand on the creek, where it was absolute money last year. We haven't really seen that same activity this year, but was willing to try a fresh sit on a new spot.
Literally haven't hunted that stand all year. You're the only person that's hunted it. Yeah, we hung that stand June 30th when we put the food plot in. So literally nobody's been there, just kind of been on the outskirts. Pulled that card on the way out, and literally no bucks have been there on cam. But we also have the road a little more. They've been there. Chaos has been there.
Yeah.
The Big 8's been there. So they're just not hitting the creek. They're using the north.
I'm going to say we have that road a lot more traveled this year with vehicles, as far as like trying to be smart about checking trail cams, getting the equipment in for the food plot stuff, getting a wagon blind in. So we have a lot more of a path made this year than we did last year. So there's scrapes on that edge. So we're just thinking the deer are going right behind the cam instead of using that creek draw. I did see 2 does that morning, and they basically skirted that cam, and they're crossing about 50, 60 yards north of that cam.
That cam's also been junked, too.
That cam's also been taking an ass load of pics for no reason.
And we got a bunch of ass pics, just half a deer.
Yeah, so it'll take a picture of nothing, and then next thing you know, there'll be a deer, but you just get an ass pic. And there's 37 pics on the card, and literally 2,200 of them are for 2 days.
There's 3,700 pics, not 37. Yeah, 3,700
pics. Yeah.
Yeah,
and 2,200 of them are for 2 days.
Yeah, so we don't know what the cam's missing.
It's got good battery life, it says. You know, I mean, it's really solid. It's taking pics. It's just not taking pics.
It was super solid last
be.
year, but this year it hasn't.
So, Friday, I pulled the 3 cards from 3 cams on my way out. I knew I was going to be going back to the wagon blind in the afternoon, so my access or leaving or how to get to the truck wasn't going to hurt pulling them cards. Pulled them, looked at them when I got home to eat lunch. Looked at them, had Bud Light on a scrape on the north. Had Chaos go into that bedding. That's when I seen him at 6:30 on that day. I did all day sit. Other than that, wasn't much on
Bud Light
cam.
was on there.
Yeah, Bud Light was on the stealth cam on that
or
scrape.
Bud Heavy was on there too, you said, right? Or no?
I don't
on
think
the video?
So. Nope.
No?
He was not on video. So he has not been on that Moultrie at all. I'm pretty sure Bud Light was on there though. So I go Friday night to the wagon blind, just kind of going off where the mobile cam's at, what it's showing. I feel like anytime we get Bud Heavy on the Moultrie or on the mobile cam, he's running like the Highline Cedar up out of the grass, right on the property line, and then he's like angling across the food plot up into the neighbors on the north. So I was sitting there in the morning, and I was like, I could shoot that, but it'd be a lot better if I was in the wagon blind and he did that. It'd take like a 125-yard shot down to like a 60-yard shot. So I was like, getting it done is more important than where I hunt, so I'm just trying to get it done. I got a lot better option about what I can shoot, but then again, like we always talk about hunting in the blind, like you just feel like you miss so much, and then that was the first time I'd sat in there by myself, or anybody had sat in there by himself, and dude, you could miss so much in that thing.
Mm-hmm.
So, Saturday morning, we had went back to the wagon blind, and we saw one deer. It was running off the road into our property, down to the creek.
Then the neighbor shot it.
And then the neighbor shot it on the mobile cam. So that was cool. Saturday, we got out. We took a decent break. Friday, I was only out of the stand for an hour and a half. Getting back into the wagon blind wasn't going to be a big deal. Pretty much the only hang-up is checking the Moultrie video because we have it set on video mode. And then Saturday we actually sat pretty late.
Till 11 almost,
yeah.
Till 11.
And then, because it was like 1:30 when I was like, well, I'm going to have to be there at 1:30 because I packed in the Lone Wolf, was trying to bread trail him back on cam. Chaos and Bud Heavy, both of them coming from the north on cam at dark. Really close to flirting with the time. So I was like, if I can get back on the road where we think they're coming, maybe I can make something happen. So I packed in the Lone Wolf Saturday night, trying to make something happen. And I didn't see a deer. I think on the 25th of October when we hunted and we had an encounter with sunshine, I'm pretty sure Bud Light was over in that grass running a doe, hot and hard. And we thought maybe a couple of deer might have been bedded in that grass and had worked towards the scrape tree. And then that's kind of like the ultimate decision why had set up there. And then Cody was taking the family out for their first hunt, or more so Rainer's first hunt. So we'll leave it off there for you.
Yeah, so Rainer's first hunt, that's pretty much the whole reason I built the wagon blind, tried to get it done this year to get in there during shotgun season. I told him that he could go this year. He had actually put a lot of time in with me building, not really building, just really banging on stuff with a hammer, acting like he's building, or
Sick.
drawing with my pencil that I need to measure, 79 inches. I can't find it because he's drawing smiley faces on the wall. But he was really excited. I talked to the wife. I said, "Hey, you ought to go." So we took the other two kids down to grandma's, and she watched him. My wife came out there with me, and I said, "It'd be cool for you to be there the first hunt with him." I don't know how much you remember it for, but it's still cool for her.
Her and you will remember it, regardless of the outcome.
Yeah. So I was like, it's his first hunt. You could also help me, try to keep him occupied in the blind because he's 4. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we talked about taking the tablet, and I was like, let's not do it. Let's see how how focused he could be. We got in there at like 2:30 probably, and I was like, he's just got to make it like 3 hours. Like, can you make it 3 hours? And
definitely 3 hours will be down.
Yeah, and we got in there. He walked all the way down the road by himself, which is pretty solid. That's pretty good jaunt.
I tell you what, that last hill to get up there is
it's a pretty good jaunt. And then we got to the corn, and he was like, then I had to pack him in. So I got the wife carrying the gun, and I'm carrying my backpack with all the film and stuff, and we got him. We get in the blind, and of course, this is his first time like in the blind with it out. So he's going over this window and this window, and he's got the binoculars backwards. Looking. I think he can see better that way than because you got to get the eye focused the other way.
Oh yeah.
But the other way, it looks like it's far away. But he's like, look, no, nothing over there, nothing over here.
And like the blind, when you're walking around on it, I mean, it's loud, it's echoey.
Yeah, it's echoing inside. You know, I didn't get it finished 100% because I just wanted to get it out there. I wanted to put some pink board on the floor, some carpet. Didn't get any of that done. So it's literally plywood floor, and we had brought some color, some markers and stuff, and he's like drawing a map of where the deer are going to come from and making an X, and he's like, right here is where they're going to come from. And the way we got the blind set up is we got the back windows are in, but they got like a camouflage cover over them, so like you can just peek out of them so you don't get skylined if something's out in the plot. So it's getting late, and he's like, I want to go. Basically, I want to go home, and I'm like, well, let's break the phone out. So that we made it like 2.5 hours, 2 hours 45 minutes. I'm like,
that's pretty solid.
Let's break the phone out, so you can play a game on there or watch a video. So literally like 10 minutes in, he's watching the video, and for some reason, I talked to my wife. I'm like there's like negative 50% chance I kill a deer tonight. And I was trying to decide whether I was going to kill a doe. If a doe came out, what was I going to do? And I talked to the wife. I said, I think if a doe comes out, I'll go ahead and, just so he can go hunting, get out of the stand, go up, see the deer, understand like the whole process of where, like what we do when I say I go hunting, you know what I mean? And like 10 minutes before shooting light's over, for some reason I look out the back window, and on our cedar line there's a buck. I'm like, okay, I see a body. I'm like, okay, that is definitely a buck. So my kid is sitting on my wife's lap now, and I'm like, okay, I literally put the window back, the curtain. I'm like, all right, nobody move, try to be quiet. There's a buck out there. And my wife's like telling Rainer, like, okay, there's a buck out there. We gotta be quiet. She turns off the video, and so then I got a seat in front of that window because that's like where we expected the deer not to come from, and but we kind of thought that's where we would kill.
Yeah,
we kind of thought that the whole time.
Like how many times did we sit there and just like look out the window, like how sick would it be if there's just like a deer out there?
Yeah. So I had to move the chair and then open the window. I opened the window and I was like, okay, that is a buck. Got the scope on. I'm like, okay, it's Chaos. That's a buck that we talk about a lot on here. He's a 5.5-year-old, we believe, and he's probably right like high 130s, 8, low 140s. He's got really good main beams. They swoop up, good tine length, out past his ears, probably 19 wide, 20 wide, and I seen this buck. And he was trotting along the edge. He's probably 70 yards. And I was like, okay, that's Chaos. He's got a swooping beam on the left. I seen the left side. He's got a swooped up beam. I'm like, okay, that's Chaos. I literally closed the window again. And
The camouflage.
yeah, the camouflage.
Yeah.
No, like the actual window.
Oh, you had the whole window
Yeah,
open?
I had the whole window open. So I like closed the window because I got to readjust stuff because I'm going to get on one knee.
Oh, wow.
So I had a chair in there, and the chair broke.
I thought you were just doing what we were doing.
I opened the window, was going to shoot him, and then I couldn't get in there with the gun out and me stable with the chair there. So I had a chair in there, and it had broke, and I was sitting on a stool you dove hunt off of.
Right.
So I moved the stool, moved the chair, opened the window again, and at this time he's running. And I'm like, okay, it's now or never if I shoot this deer. And I give him, the Matt, don't stop, Matt. And he's slowly taking the last couple steps. And I shoot him. I told homie, I was like, it's a 120-yard shot. It would have been 125 when we ranged it.
Yeah.
And just dropped him right there. And my kid, I scoped him. He dropped. I looked in there. My kid's wife's they're like that face, okay, did he get him? Did he not get him? What's going on? And I pull my gun up again, and I see my kid out of the corner of his eye. He's gonna cover his ears this time, you know what I mean? And he's like, did you get him? I said, yeah. And he's like, oh, you shot a buck? You shot a buck? I said, yeah. And then he's hopped off my wife's lap, walking around, putting his jacket back on because it was 80 degrees in the blind. He didn't have boots on, just socks, So he's trying to get his shoes on. They're on the wrong feet. I'm like, hey, we're going to wait a second. We're going to let Ryan get up here. Then we'll go check him out. My wife's excited. I'm excited. I'm like,
yeah, bro, you just got it done on a giant 8-pointer that we've been targeting for 2 years.
I'm like, all right, I told my wife, I said, I just killed an 8-pointer we've been chasing for 2 years. She knows the deer. She's seen the pictures of him. She sees me look at him on the camera trying to figure out what I'm going to do, but I've never figured out good enough to kill him. I just think that I got a plan, but it never works out. But, it's the one that we call Chaos. I named that buck because Rainer was being dumb and we were out there, he's the one that made the name. And I was like, I just, got it done. First time literally hunting with my kids. So first track job is a 193. First time I hunt him, I just killed, a 148, So I'm like, okay, yeah, this buck's down. It's not getting up. Let homie get up here and we'll, do some filming. And we get out of the blind. And
yeah, because you tell me Chaos. I mean, there's maybe 10 minutes of light left. Mm-hmm. You call me on the phone because I heard the shot. And I was like, okay, he said he might shoot a doe tonight, just see what Rainer wanted to do. And then I, maybe a minute and a half later, I get the phone call. I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, buck down. And then you're like, oh, yeah, I'm pretty sure it's Chaos. I was like, okay, yeah, that's cool, And, at that point, that's almost the target buck on the farm.
Yeah.
So, I just got down.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go over there and get it.
Yeah, and then you get up there, we all get out, and Rainer, he's jacked to get out there. Everybody goes out there, and it's dark this time, it's pretty, we got a headlamp out, and I go up there, I'm like, man, I'm going to get up there, it's going to be Bud Light or something, and then we're walking, and I shine, I'm like, man, it's not as wide as I was thinking it was, and there lays Bud Light, all in his glory, but he's a deer that we did not want to shoot. We wanted to give another year, but I was super jacked still. still a super solid deer. Like, you look
Yeah.
at what people shoot, it's right there with everybody. It's just you get to a certain point, and I'm for shooting whatever makes you happy and whatever gets you going. And that buck got me going. Like, I was more like amped up than the Missouri deer when I shot it. Like,
oh, really?
And I don't know if it was because I thought it was chaos, or like my kid was there, or it's a shotgun and it was a long shot, and I knew that I had to nail this.
Right.
Like, and I remember focusing real, like, okay, you're on him, squeeze. Everything felt really good, even though it was really fast, and I was like super. You talk about getting out of kill mode, like, okay, it's the deer I want to shoot, boom, and it's down, and I was super jacked, and Rainer's out there, and he's checking him out, and I'm talking to him. I'm like, okay, yeah, now we killed. Now we're going to take him home. He's like, yeah, now we're going to eat him. So, he has that. So we drag him for like 50 yards. We load him in the truck. It's like the best ever. Me and you are
Right.
used to like the worst case
I was gonna say,
scenario of getting a deer out.
I mean, the easy drag,
Yeah.
just perfect.
And we load him up, and you got your car seat and all the gear in the back of the truck. So I put my wife in the front, me and Rainer are riding in the back, and he was talking to me, and he was like, I wanted to go home, but you said we should stay because a deer might show up, and then you shot a buck. And I'm like, you need to remember that the rest of your life.
Yeah, for sure.
Time and stand. That's what I was telling him. I was like, Daddy comes out and goes hunting all the time, and this is what I do it for. This is what I like to do. And then that's when he said, like, yeah, you said I wanted to go home, but then you said we needed to stay, and it worked out, and you got a buck. And then, of course,
Damn, that's epic.
yeah, it was super epic in the back of the truck. It was like one of the coolest dad hunting moments I've had, where the kid realized, like, if we would have went home, that buck wouldn't have come out, we wouldn't have shot it, and we wouldn't have got the meat, because in his mind, he understands that I kill bucks, but I've have it instilled in him, and we eat so much damn deer meat, like, no, there's no burger in my house. Literally no hamburger in my house,
Right.
unless we're making like cheeseburgers. But we don't really eat cheeseburgers ever, so it's literally like deer burger or nothing. And that's just like what he knows, and he understands that. But then he's like, okay, you got a buck, and that's what you keep saying that you're trying to do is get a buck, because he sees me shoot does like every year, a couple does, you know what I mean? But
Yeah.
he's understanding that it's special when it's buck, because that's what you're putting all this time in. And, I ask him, you think that's a big buck? He goes, oh, yeah, that's a big buck. And I'm like, well, that's not as big as we want it. But I didn't say that to him. I was just, I was super jacked. I mean, I was super jacked. And I'm super proud of the deer, all the work that I put in to be able to hunt that property, the time on the wagon blind, the food plot, the hanging the stands, the running the cams, the damn bird houses, which are such a pain in the butt. I don't think people understand like how much work the damn bird houses are. It's ridiculous. Like, that was so, but that's what you do when you got a place to hunt. You do whatever it takes to hunt, and that's what I was telling Rainer. Like, he understands that I don't own the ground. I just have permission, and I got permission by doing the work to go out there.
Yeah.
And we got it back, and of course the cousin, my nephews want to see it, so I drive it down there, and Rainer's telling the story of like how it happened to my nephew. He's 2 years older, so he'd be 6, or 7. He's 7. So he's telling him the story, he's like, yeah, Dad said there was a buck, and then he opened the window and went, but I didn't go, but he just automatically thought that, and then boom, and then he
Dad's
got him.
out there loading the shotgun.
Yeah, he got him, and he's like, and then, we went out there, and I helped him drag it out, and he's in the back of the truck, like, lifting the head up, and like, look at this, and he'd been punctured in the cheek, low, and it had swelled up over his eye, so he actually still had an eye.
Oh, he did?
Yeah, but when Ingram kicked it out, like, that was just all like the swollenness and pus that had went over it. So that's the only reason I killed the deer, is because I couldn't see out of one side.
So had that been like super recent, he thought?
Yeah.
Nice.
So took an antler to the jaw and swelled it up, because when he caped it out, it had an eye underneath of there.
Oh, okay.
So
That's cool.
Yeah.
I mean, that's cool to know at least because
Yeah.
that thing looks smoked.
Oh yeah, it looked like the eye was gone.
It was gone.
Yeah,
Completely gone.
but then the next day, my wife asked me if I wanted to keep the kids. I think she went shopping, and I said, "Yeah, I'll take the two. I'll take Bladen and Rayner." And I was like, "Okay, we're gonna take the buck. We're gonna take it to the locker." Mm-hmm. We had done the other two deer this year by ourselves at the home, so he'd seen me cut it up, seen me grind it. I said, "Okay, we're gonna take this one to the locker." So I drove it down there. We caped it out. I explained that to him, like, okay, we're caping it out. We drove up to Ingram's, and Ingram had the supper for the hunters. We ate supper there, and I told him, I said, now this is the guy that mounts them so we can save these memories forever, you know, and explain that process. And I think my kid understands it a lot better, and it seems super epic to him that, like, we got it done. Like, it's just an epic feat.
Right.
Because when we drove out to the wagon blind yesterday, so the wagon blind, we had 70-mile-an-hour straight winds, and it blew over, and it's destroyed. The wagon blind is gone. I'm going to rebuild, and I'm going to rebuild and anchor it down or something, different area. But it's just too good of an idea for us not to have. It's just more money is all it is, but the memories are worth it. So when we were out there at the wagon blind, he could tell that I was upset, and he said, "It's okay, Dad. We already got our buck."
Yeah, that's super badass.
So I was like, okay, he's like, "Oh, it's okay. We got our buck. We got our buck already." You know what I mean? So he's like, "We're lucky we got a deer already." Or I was like, "That, that's super cool." But
at least, like, at this point, he like remembers it.
Yeah, I was like, I wanted like 20 years of getting
Yeah,
deer.
I'd be like, bro,
I wanted to see you shoot a deer, and your brother, and your other brother. I wanted everybody to shoot a deer out of that. You know what I mean? And that was like my goal. So I built it all treated, like house wrapped it, like it was gonna last. That was like the goal. You know what I mean? And we'd never seen any moisture in that thing when we were hunting.
No.
You know what I mean? It was solid, and
the only thing we had to do was unfrost the outside of the window.
Unfrost the outside of the window, and that
which
was like,
we know in the first 10 minutes we can get done.
Mm-hmm. So, but yeah, the wagon blind's done. I have one epic memory. We actually wrote like the buck, the name of it, what it was, when I killed it, and we planned on doing that for 20 years. Like, we wanted a tally of like, well, shot this buck, this piece of ground, because we can move this blind, and well, I'll just rewrite it or try to save that board. And
we need to start it up higher, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. We don't kill enough stuff. But yeah, that was my kill. It's super special. It's actually it's got to be top 2. It's close to freeze just because boy was there, wife was there. Really special. It is the smallest deer that I've killed in 6 years. Or it's longer than that, but 6 years that I can remember.
Yeah. So, I mean, I went hunting Monday, and we had kind of talked about, because we had Bud Heavy on cam, and we had this smaller 8 on cam, and we were kind of talking about, like, we need to give these two a name because, like, they're pretty frequent on cam. Bud Light more in the north, Bud Heavy more in the south, and then Chaos is just kind of running both. He seems to be more on like a mission when he's on cam though. You can definitely tell Bud Heavy's wants to stay on the south, and Bud Light definitely wants to stay on the north. And so we're kind of talking about like trying to come up with a name. Bud Heavy's just a big, tall, swaggy body. 8-pointers. He's got some mass to him. Bud Light, you can tell he's not as old as a deer as Bud Heavy is, but he's got some potential. He's just a kind of a spindly 8 that we had wanted to pass, and so I was like, well, we got 2 8s. I was like, we need like a heavy and a light, or a big and a small type of name. And I was just sitting there in the stand. I was like, well, we'll just name Bud Heavy and Bud Light, and that'll be what we go with. And Cody's like, yeah, we can do that. And then Cody had a chance at Bud Light.
Yeah.
So I was checking cams that Friday of Shotgun, and Bud Light was on a scrape, and I was on the phone with Cody when I was checking it, and there's literally nothing. Couple does. We got this half rack spike running around. There's this forked horn that is just tearing everything up. I mean,
I got 100 pictures of that deer.
You check a cam, that guy's gonna be on it. I mean, it's literally just the same bracketed 4-point. You're gonna know it.
Thing's rocking my data plan like a mug.
And then you see 30 pictures of him, and then you get Bud Light on cam, and I was like, whoa. I was like, what do we got here? And it took me by surprise. I was like, holy shit. And then I went through the sequence of pictures, and he hit the scrape and gave us all the angles. Like, oh yeah, that's Bud Light. And then,
it's not like he's a tiny deer. He's a nice deer. He's a decent deer, but he's just not what I had shot the last 6 years. And for a lot of people get that on cam, they're like shooter. Especially in this area, that's like the borderline right there. That's the edge of shooting.
And we knew that the neighbor had bucked out, shot like a 163 or something, and then he had shot a 2.5-year-old earlier. He said, so he had went out during gun season, filled his 2 doe tags. So we're like, okay, there's going to be no pressure on the north, no pressure on the south. We're going to be pretty solid, just depending on the rest of the damage we do during season is what'll live and what won't live. So,
Bud Light's no more.
I was gonna say, I didn't know if you wanted to go into maybe identifying the deer or just such a split decision, because I had come into that last year. I literally thought I had 8 to 11 inch G2s on the deer I seen, because his head was down, all about that angle. He was coming in, he had his head down, had his nose down. When you just look, and then like you always say, we just go into kill mode, and you just don't look at that rack anymore. And
I know that I might have seen that deer a total of 10 seconds. And when a lot of people say, oh, it was 10 seconds, and then they look at the footage and it was a minute.
Yeah.
I literally opened the window or looked past the curtain, shooter, closed it, opened the window, scoped him, closed the window. So maybe 25 seconds. You know what I mean? So after the first scope, I automatically knew in my mind that was chaos coming out of the north bedding, working that edge, just like we seen him do. He's coming in. And I thought he was just going to work that edge and go straight to where the mobile is. We got a bunch of pictures of him going over there and hitting that scrape. Okay, he's working the cedar edge. He's going to come over there, hit that corner and go south. And I'm like, well, I'm going to kill him right here. When I open the window, he's on a run. And at that point, you're like, okay.
Dude, I would have freaked if I'd have seen him on the run like that.
Yeah.
I would have freaked.
Yeah, it's literally right now you choose whether you're shooting this deer or it's leaving. You know what I mean? And you've chased this deer for 2 years. You got a bunch of trucking pictures, the #1 target buck on your farm.
Right.
And you got literally 5 seconds to decide
if it actually is, and if you're actually going to shoot
if you're going to shoot him or not. And I seen that swooping main beam, and I said, that is him 100% without a doubt. Boom. You know what I mean? And it wasn't I shot the deer on a slow, the ending of his run. You know what I mean? It was so quick, when you're looking at a deer, and he's running away, too.
Oh, yeah, they're always bigger, yeah.
It looked bigger and 100 yards, but just absolutely dropped him. Even on the ground, when I looked at him, I'm like, oh, that's chaos. And the body, he had a big body.
Talk about the heart.
Yeah, I've said it, I don't know how many times on this podcast. I am absolutely just not good at aging deer. I cannot look at a picture and just say that's a 4-year-old or that's a 3-year-old, that's a 5-year-old. I just can't do it, because I feel like what we've learned on this podcast, with Clint's buck being, 170?
181.
Decent body on it, 181.
And
it's a 3.5. You know what I mean? And that's a typical frame. They ain't like kickers. That's tine length and mass that got this buck there. You know what I mean? It's a 10-pointer, right?
8.
Is it an 8? Okay, yeah. So that makes it even worse. You know what I mean? Like it's an 8. As a 3.5, that's an absolute giant mega.
Yeah.
And then we got Oscar that we learned on this. Who his body doesn't look like that. It doesn't look that old. He's giant body.
I don't know, man. That nocturnal picture we shared on Tuesday of that week.
Yeah,
dude, his neck is
giant.
Dude, his neck's got to be like 32 inches.
But would you think that that's a 9-year-old, 8-year-old deer? Would you think that's like a 5 or 6 deer that's just in his prime?
I would say like 7.
7. I would think that was like a 5 or 6-year-old deer that is just in its prime. I wouldn't think that it's a 9-year-old deer.
No,
I would think like a 9-year-old deer would be like this deer is going to be getting skinny,
going
to be going down. So I honestly cannot age deer. I just can't do it.
No, after this, like, because we're getting the pre-result of the actual estimate from Ingram.
Yeah.
And I feel like he sees a lot of deer, so I feel like he knows what he's doing.
So he didn't see the body, he just seen the teeth.
Yep.
And the teeth came back, and I want to wait until we get him aged, and then I'll say what he said and what actually happened. But I took the heart from this deer and the heart from my Missouri deer and put them side by side, and this deer's heart was double. It was gigantic.
Easy.
And I was blown away by that. Didn't have a crazy big body, but was pretty big, and we thought 3.5 all day.
Yeah.
But Ingram doesn't think 3.5, so we're gonna. It'd be cool to see what it is, because it's either gonna be like, okay, it was 3.5, and I can kind of age stuff, or if I'm wrong. If I'm wrong on this deer, I will never age another deer in my whole entire life unless I have trail cam pictures, because I cannot do it. I cannot do it honestly.
Yeah. Like
someone messaged you a picture. They do it to us quite a bit. How old do you think this deer is?
No.
I'm just going to have to honestly say, like, sometimes I I'm saying, well, I don't really know, but to me it looks like this. I'm not even going to say that. I'm just going to be like, man, I'm not good at aging deer. I'm sorry. I apologize, because I can't do it.
To people who don't even ask, like, what region of the country that deer's from, it's just a mistake right off the get-go. Like, you have to, because there's different.
Well, you've seen the
just
body.
Like in the heart.
Yeah. You've seen the body in the Missouri deer. You're like.
In the body, yeah. You're dragging that deer around like it's a small doe here, you know what I mean? So, like, for not even to ask which part of the country the deer is from is a mistake. Just off the get-go. And then past that, like, I'm with Cody. Like, apparently I'm not worth a shit either. So,
yeah, I'm no good at it. I'm excited to get this one back, because then I'm gonna be like, okay, do I kind of know what a 3.5-year-old looks like, or am I just completely, absolutely lost?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because in my mind, that body and that rack just screams 3.5, 4.5 all day.
So, I mean, just go back to my encounter with Sunshine on October 25th. Like, we got Sunshine, 15 yards from the tree, evergreen that we're posted up in that we can't really see out of. Cody's hand holding the camera, gets it like 1.5 feet from his body to get the picture of him, and Sunshine's looking back at us. He bounces out in the food plot, goes out there. Doe's coming in from the opposite side. She bounces down in there, and then Sunshine just standing there. And, we don't know it's Sunshine at this point, because he had his head down when he come out of the grass, and I was like, oh, dude, that's a big deer. It's a shooter coming. Another deer we're trying to pass on this property. And, we had to give him like we had to see him in person, And I thought I didn't know it was him. And
that body looked forward to me,
dude. Yeah, he's standing out there in the food plot.
Looked just like the buck I shot.
Dude, huge body. Like, I took a still picture of him. Giant body. Like, they talk about that front shoulder being nice and big and round where the brisket ties in, little dip in the back. Like, dude, that body looks 4.5. His rack doesn't quite match 4.5. Either way, like, I was going for it, and
but some guys will just be like, well, 3.5.
Oh yeah,
I'm like, I don't understand how you have no picture data of anything. You've never seen the deer in person. You can just say, it's 3.5.
They'll just look at the rack and be like, oh, it's 3.5.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. That's what I'm saying, but I can't honestly say, well, that's a 3.5-year-old.
No.
Does that deer need to go another year? Yeah, we could say that. Like, yeah, we could probably give him another year, see what he turns into. We agree
Right.
with that. But on the age front, me and homie, we don't know a lot about deer, obviously, or deer hunting. But we can't age. That's like the worst thing we got going. Just like last year when I put a picture of Chaos up, people were saying 3.5. 4.5.
There was some 5.5s on there.
And then when I put the other picture and cut his rack off, 5.5, 6.5. I was like, what? It's the same deer. It's the exact same deer. And people were like, oh,
Yeah.
I didn't know. I'm like, yeah, that was the purpose of the experiment. It's the same deer, literally the same night, different angle picture, and there's 2 years difference there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. So I mean, that whole agent thing, like, it's fun to do. It's fun to think about, but until you get that deer down and actually send it in to a laboratory, not like your deer check-in or anything like that. I mean, because like them people, like in Missouri, like them people checking the deer check-in, like that's a joke.
So in a nutshell, we're gonna send it off, see what we get, and we'll go from there, and then we'll see if our conclusions of what the deer are is right, if it's wrong. It doesn't matter in the end whether you shoot it or not, in my mind. But if you're trying to grow a bigger deer, to give a deer one more year that you think can survive in the area, why not? You know what I mean?
Like,
so,
how many times have you got a deer and then encountered it even like the next year? Because for me, it's really slim.
yeah. It's
And
pretty
just
slim.
like in my early bow hunting years, like I was really passing, solid 125s to 135s, just trying to like get that, because I felt like them deer needed that when they were in bow range, and like I could have had probably 15 to 20 kills under my belt, and I was trying to do the right thing, and then next year you don't get any encounters, or you don't even see that deer from the stand on trail cam or nothing.
I think it's depending on farm and area, because like I've had a lot of deer that I get history with back to back to back. The 9-pointer I killed 2 years ago, I passed him the year before. I still think he was 5 that year, but hell, I don't know. That's the biggest body deer I've ever killed. That 9-pointer, he was way bigger than Freeze, way bigger than the 10, way bigger than Homeboy. I think Homeboy was 3.5 all day. I think he was 3.5. I don't know, but the more and more I look at deer, I think he was 3.5.
His sheds,
He's got 7.5-inch bases, but I still think he's 3.5.
His sheds look like 2.5 now. You know what I mean?
Yeah, oh yeah, yeah. He just like he gained 40 inches as a 3.5-year-old. You know what I mean?
Pretty sick.
But it's dead deer. He's a dead 3.5-year-old, just like this.
Looks sick on the wall.
Just like this buck, he's a dead buck, and I'm super jacked to put him down and create that memory with my family, my kid. Literally the first hunt my kid's ever been on his whole entire life. Got a buck down, and he got to go up there and do the whole track and get him in the truck and go to the locker, go to the taxidermist, the whole process. He got to experience that, so it was super cool. And he gets to eat that deer now, and he's asking, what deer is this? What deer is like we're making jerky today. He goes, is this the buck? This the deer the buck we killed? I said, no, this is the Missouri buck. He goes, oh, okay.
All right.
So he's like asking which one's which, and that's cool to me. You know, he understands the process, and whether he wants to do it when he gets older, cool. If not, I will tell you right now, he's further than I was at 16 of understanding what deer are and what to do, and understanding that you got to sit in a stand to kill a deer. You can't be walking around, sit here for 2 hours, walk around. You know what I mean? So, but we hope that you enjoyed getting caught up. Right now, we took some time for Thanksgiving and with the family, and we're going to start going after it hard again. I'm going to tackle the urban public. Homie's still got a shotgun season. We still got 3 bucks on private that are live and kicking and doing well, that are shooters.
More like kicking our ass.
Yeah, we get our ass kicked every year, so nothing new. But and we got the other public late season. Still got a lot of season left to go. We're not throwing in the towel by any means. If I get another buck down, it'll be an epic year. So
That would
we'll
be
just
sick.
we'll just see what happens. It's gonna have to be something pretty nice, 140 or better. I'll kill a 115 while I'll get jacked up. Kill 115, be
That
super
would be
jacked.
sweet.
But all right, guys, get out there, take your kids out, man. Like I said, mine's 4 and he made it. So those 6-year-olds, all that, take them out, squirrel hunting, whatever you can do. Leave a legacy, and Whitetail Legacy's out.